This is a Mercedes EQS 53 AMG 4MATIC Plus. And today's big question is this really an electric S-Class? Well, I'm gonna give you guys the answer right now in the intro to the video. No, this is not an electric S-Class. And if you wanna find out why, you're gonna have to watch this video till the end. Now let's kick off this review by talking about the numbers. And if you're a numbers nerd and you like big numbers, this is the car for you, because in that sense, this car is super impressive. So first off, it is a very long car at 5.21 meters long. And it's actually not a saloon, it's actually a hatchback. So all the way back there, you have a large hatch opening, revealing a trunk that is 580 liters, which is huge in a car like this. 1.93 meters wide, 1.51 meters tall, but maybe the most impressive thing is the wheelbase at 3.21 meters, which is insane. Later on in the video, you'll see the rear seat of this car, and it is super impressive. Other big things is the battery pack. Usable capacity, 107.8 kilowatt hours, which is just mind-boggling. WLTP rates this car at 570 kilometers of range, which is about 116 kilometers less than what you will get in the 584 4MATIC Plus, but it's still a lot of range. 200 kilowatts of peak charging speed will give you 10 to 80% charging time in about 35 minutes. This car, being the 53 AMG 4MATIC Plus, has a lot of horsepower, and this car specific with the AMD driver's package gives it 761 horsepower, which is just insane. But bigger than that is the torque number, 1,020 newton meters of torque, which is just insane. And lastly, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.4 seconds. Last number, the weight. With the driver, this car is almost 2.8 tons. So either way you look at it, the numbers of this car are huge and impressive. But what has to be less impressive about this car is the exterior styling. And I'm just gonna go out and say it right away, guys. I'm not a fan. Most of the time when I look at it, I'm like, it's kind of ugly. Other times I'm like, it's kind of okay. And once in a fortnight, when I look at it at a certain angle and I squint, I'm like, it's almost good looking. I just can't believe that somebody at Mercedes signed off this design. And I know guys, you know, it's super aerodynamic, drag coefficient of 0.20 CD, making it the most efficient, saloon car on the market today, alongside the Lucid Air, which I also think is much better looking. Though I'm not a fan of that design either, it's better looking than this. But this is the same Mercedes that's given us, the modern G-Class, the new S-Class, the new SL, the AMG 4-door, the AMG GT. I mean, Mercedes have such a history of making good looking cars. I would easily, in a heartbeat, sacrifice 20% of the efficiency to give me something that looked close to an S-Class. Give me an S-Class with an AMG kit and make it electric. I would, buy that car in a heartbeat. But the exterior styling of this car, it's a barrier for me. It's a barrier for me. I just can't believe somebody signed this off. And even though this is the AMG one with the big wheels, with that AMG grille, it doesn't have enough going for it to differentiate it from the normal EQS, in my opinion. Looking at this interior from the driver's perspective, or in photos, or on camera, this has to be the most impressive and most luxurious looking interior in the EV business today. It is just fantastic. But of course, it is very expensive. So at this price point, you do have high expectations. This car here in Norway, equipped this way, is almost 1.6 million kroners, or 160,000 euros. So it is pretty expensive. And at this price point, you do have expectations. And it's first when you step inside and you get past, the visual awe, and you start touching the materials and interacting with the controls, it's a bit lacking. Don't get me wrong, if you're coming from a cheaper car, say a Tesla Model 3 or a Volkswagen, ID4, this is going to blow your mind away. But if you're used to luxury cars, it's impressive visually, but once you start touching things and interacting with things, it is a bit disappointing. And again, I am nitpicking, guys, because I have a lot of experience with more expensive cars. I daily a Taycan Cross Turismo. Before I did that, I had an Audi e-tron GT. I've also had several Volvo XC90s, which may not be the most expensive car in your country, but in Norway, a spec'd out XC90 T8 was easily 120,000 euros plus, and that interior felt that way. Does this feel like an interior at 120,000 euros? Kind of. 160,000 euros? No, I'm a bit disappointed. So it's first when you start, touching surfaces or interacting with, controls like the gear selector here, which looks nice, but once you start touching this plastic, this is a very cheap plastic, and this is the same grade you will find in an A-Class. And in a car that bears the name S and AMG and 53 plus, this is not good enough. Actually, the stock on the left side is a little bit nicer quality. And also there's a flimsiness to some of, the things you interact with, like with the vents. They're plastic. They just feel really like cheap and nasty almost. And then you have the window switches, which just also feel like they're lifted out of an A-Class. They're not weighted at all. But then you have the things like the paddles behind the steering wheel, which are aluminum. And when you press them or pull on them, they feel super nice, and this actually controls regen, so that is really nice. But some of the buttons here on the steering wheel, it just feels flimsy. Look at that movement. Yeah, at 160,000 euros, I have higher expectations. Also, some of the switch gear here, it just doesn't feel like it fits in a car this expensive. And also some of the other plastics, like here on this steering wheel, at least give me an option to upgrade this to leather. And also this faux leather here I have here on the dashboard. This is not nice feeling in a car at this price point. At least give me the option to pay and get this upgraded. This does have the upgraded Nappa leather, which does feel, it feels nice. It's not the nicest grade of Nappa leather I've felt, but at least give me the option to option it here on the dashboard, on the steering wheel airbag cover, and also on top of the dashboard. In my Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo, I paid 4,000 euros extra to get real leather on the dashboard, on the doors, on the console. And in my opinion, when you're spending 120,000 euros plus on a car, paying a few thousand extra to get that, super luxurious feeling is worth every penny. Everybody may not agree, but I think a lot of people buying cars at this price point are very aware of materials, especially the things you have right in front of you that you're going to interact with. And also here you have touch controls on the door here, which is just a weird decision, but the stitching is nice. This looks visually striking, and also the wood here and the Burmester speaker grill looks amazing. This wood here is beautiful, but whatever you do, don't open this up unless you have to, because yes, there is a lot of storage here, wireless charger, USB-C ports, you have 2 cup holders, but the grade of plastic they've used here is just nasty. I would critique this in a Volkswagen ID4. It's gonna get butchered here in an EQS. And also the plastic here on the side is even cheaper. It feels like a Fisher-Price toy. And then you can see the tracks here, the fit and finish. I don't want to be looking at that when paying this much for a car, so just cover that up. But this is a nice action. You also have a lot of storage here. You have storage underneath here. It's a practical interior, but somehow it feels a little bit cramped. Look at my knee, guys. I'm almost sitting in the dashboard. Yes, I'm set to, my driver position, but, a few friends of mine also who are even taller than me drove this car, and you're almost touching the dashboard. So if you're really tall, I think you're going to struggle with that. And also what is really tall is the height of the dashboard. And this is something, for the love of God, in the past week I've had this car, cannot figure out why they have done this. There's no reason other than the design to have a dashboard this high, because it's so high. Even my friend who was sitting here, he's 6'2", 187 centimeters. He sat to his position where he felt he was sitting nice, but he said the dashboard is just too high. And then if you jack up the seat, oh, it's here. I can do that because you have this large binnacle here that makes it even higher. It's really weird. If you don't go for the hyper screen, you don't have this binnacle here. You just have a loose display here, which I think works better. But now I'm sitting, okay, I can look fine above this binnacle, but now I'm only about this much from the roof. So I feel like I'm sitting in the roof. When I look at the side window, I'm actually looking at the headliner. So it's really weird because sitting in this driving position, which is, you know, I like to sit a bit low. I feel like I'm sitting high, you know, compared to the side window, but here I just feel like I'm barely looking over because this is the gap I see. This is the gap. That is not a big gap. So I don't understand, because this part of the dashboard is much higher than where the dashboard meets the glass in front. So I have no idea why they did that. And for me, it takes away a lot of the experience. So this is not an S-Class interior. Is it close? Kind of. S-Class gets leather here. I'm pretty sure you get upgraded leather on the dashboard and on the doors in an S-Class also. And also these seats, not the most comfortable. Are these AMG specific seats? Because they're kind of hard. So after a few hours on the road, yeah, it's not the most comfortable seat. So overall, a beautiful looking interior, but it has some major flaws in the materials, in the switchgear, and also just the design of this dashboard, which after a week in this car, I have not gotten used to yet. Maybe the real reason you get an EQS instead of an EQE is the back seat. If you have to shuttle around people, maybe dignitaries, maybe politicians, this is your car if you want to have an electric car, because this rear seat is impressively big. Look at this, guys. This is impressive. Look at the space I have here. I can cross my legs in the back seat. And look at the knee room. This driver's seat is set to my position. I'm 5'10" or 178 centimeters, and I have loads of space here. But because of that, you know, sloping roofline, headroom is actually not more than this. For me, it's fine. The seat back is a little bit upright, but you can get this with a rear seat luxury package where you can recline it and stuff like that. But maybe if you're above 6 foot, this may be a little bit tight headroom wise. And also the seat cushion could have been a little bit longer, at least adjustable maybe. Maybe that's asking too much. But yeah, it's a really comfortable rear seat. You have a large armrest here. And then you have this, I think this is for your phone. And then you do that once or again. That's how do you do that? Yeah. I think you should have cup holders here. Once, twice. Nope, does not want to work. Okay, but I think you have some cup holders there. But like the front cabin, you do have some, you know, cheap materials here. This just feels really out of place in this car. And then here also, like, you're not going to touch it, but it's like, you know, it's sticking out so much, because looking at this from a mile away, you can see that this is hard touch plastics, because it doesn't match the plastic there or even the plastic there. It just looks really cheap. 4-zone climate control, and you also should have some two USB-C ports there. Yeah, and you also have this expensive panoramic sunroof where the front portion opens. Yeah, this is a comfortable place for a longer trip without a doubt. A way I try to differentiate my videos from other YouTubers who also do reviews here on YouTube is a deep dive into the driver ergonomics, steering wheel controls, secondary controls, and also the infotainment system screen. Because in my opinion, this is more and more important moving forward now as the cars get more and more advanced. And also, this is what's really going to differentiate the cars from each other when everything goes fully electric. So if you like this, please be sure to drop a thumbs up on the video down below. If you're not interested in this section of the video, just skip to the next part. It is all good either way. So let's start off with this steering wheel. And I have to say, I really like this steering wheel. This is the AMG specific steering wheel that you can get in a normal EQS if you go for the AMG interior package. It is really nice. It looks spectacular. You have soft and smooth leather up top, and you also have this microfiber Alcantara-like material on the side. Though, as I said, in the interior section, this airbag cover is kind of a hard touch, cheap plastic. Give me an option, Mercedes, to at least pay to have this in leather like on an S-Class. It's not acceptable at this price point. And then you have a lot of buttons. So first, every time I step into a Mercedes, it's so overwhelming how many buttons and controls there are. And let's go through this, because it is kind of insane. So you have these two arms here on the steering wheel, which separates this button row with this button row, and then you have switches down here. So you have 3 sections there, another 3 sections on the right side. So this top panel, this controls this screen over here, which is a 12-inch display. So you can, you know, change, you can go home, and then you can change the views like this. Pretty cool. You could go track pace. Yeah. So you have a lot of customization. In my opinion, there's too much customization. Just give me like a few, look how many views there are. I mean, just give me a few. But I guess it's nice with choice. So you have this to control that. And then below that, you have your adaptive cruise control, which works okay. Though to increase your speed, you have to swipe like this. If you want to go one, it's okay how this works. It's worse on the other side with the volume controls. And then you have this button down here with also a screen, which does control your engine sound or fake engine sound. We're going to get more into that later on in the video. And then you have this for your suspension harshness, which is really nice. And then on this side, you can scroll or roll this wheel knob to give you different types of drive modes. And then above that, you have your audio and phone controls. Also, you do have voice commands and also a favorites button. And then above that, you have the same panel as you have on the left side, but it is to control this screen over here, which is a 17.7-inch screen. This is the Mercedes Hyper screen. What you're lacking is a skip forward button just for music. It's pretty annoying. You have a favorites button here, which in my Porsche also lacks a button to skip forward, but it has a favorites button that you can program to do skip forward, but here you cannot. You can do massage front seats, you can do consumption, you can do energy flow, you can even do drag race or navigation, but you cannot do just skip forward. And then you have the paddles behind here, which are really nice. These are aluminum and feel really nice. So pull here to increase regen, and then pull on the other side to decrease regen. I do like that. And then you have the stock on the left side here, which is not only your blinker, but also your windshield wipers, because this is a Mercedes, which means you do have your gear selector over here. So there's a lot of things to look at and to touch and to orient yourself with, because yeah, there's a lot of things. It's overwhelming. And then on the door panel here, you have your window switches, which are okay to use. They do feel a little bit cheap. You have your door locks, but you also have your seat controls here on the doors. And this is also touch. So it's kind of weird to use at first. I wish it was just, you know, normal buttons, but that's what they've decided to do here. You also have your heated seats. You also have your cooled seats. And then you have I don't know what that is. I haven't not figured that out. 3 memory settings, but there's no way to turn on your heated steering wheel. So there's no button on the steering wheel, and you think, aha, let's go into the climate menu. Let's go there. Yeah, there's nothing here either. I've looked. And then you look at the panel down here. Is there anything down here? No, you only have shortcuts to your camera, to your battery, driver assistant, stuff like that. On and off hazards, also your volume, which you have to push and not slide. The one on the steering wheel only slides. If you push this, it pauses. This one doesn't slide, it only pushes, which is really weird. So the only way to turn on your steering wheel heater is to turn on the heated seats. It's tethered to that button, which is also really weird. There's so many buttons and controls, but you can't turn on your heated steering wheel. I found another way though, and let me know in the comments down below if you know a third way. You press this. Please turn on heated steering wheel.
Steering wheel heating is switched on.
And yeah, that works most of the time. But yesterday when I did the Norwegian high-speed run, it did not work. So it's really weird. So I showed you guys this display. You have the different types of views. You have your track pace. You have your super sport. You have your classic. And then you have your understated. I really like understated. It's really cool. And from here you can also do your ambient lighting. Look at that, guys. That's cool. Also you have just the navigation. So it gives you full screen navigation. So in this car you can actually do quad navigation. So you have navigation there. You have navigation in the head-up display. And then if you're sitting here, if there's a passenger here, you can turn on that 12.3-inch screen over there. So you can do quad navigation if you want, which is just kind of stupid and dumb in my opinion. And then you can also do assistance. And then you can do service. Yeah, I mean, there's too many choices. And the whole screen here, Mercedes calls this the hyperscreen. They say it's 56 inches across. In my opinion, it's just too big. If you, the hyperscreen is standard in the EQS 53 AMG, but I actually prefer the normal screen that is standard in the lower trim versions, because this is just too big. And look at this. This is my driver perspective, right? This is where I sit. You turn your head, a third of the screen is not even visible. What's the point? This is just screen for screen's sake. At least give me the option for the smaller screen. Otherwise, I mean, Mercedes MBUX is okay enough to use. I mean, there's nothing to write home about. The most annoying thing is that the heated steering wheel is tethered to the seats, and also you don't have, you know, a dedicated button except for on the screen if you want to do skip forward. Let's pause that. So, yeah. So yeah, that is your driver. And also this screen here, I've had a few passengers and they're like, oh, that's cool. And then after 3 minutes, they're like, how do you turn it off? So yeah, mostly it's good here in the cabin of the EQS, but what I really I'm missing a dedicated button for your heated steering wheel, dedicated switches, just to give me a volume knob and also skip forward, and also give me an option for the smaller screen, because this is just too much. Now let's take the EQS 53 AMG 4MATIC Plus out on a road, and I'll tell you what it is like to drive. So this car here is on 21-inch wheels, also on air suspension, and it is very comfortable, but it's not as boat-like or as uncontrolled like the normal EQS in my experience. So when I drove the 580 last year, it was powerful, it was quick, but I felt that car had too much power for its chassis. Like when you got going quick in that car, it was like kind of scary, big, boat-like, and soft. This car is really buttoned down, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it, because, you know, going over this speed bump here is going to be quite soft, but it's not going to be boat-like. It is one controlled motion, and in a car that is almost 2.8 tons, that is what you want. And also a car that has the AMG badge on it. So you have a few different drive modes. If you put it into sport, it's going to, you know, no, that's the suspension tuning here. If we put it into sport, you're going to get a little bit of, you know, a sound. You guys can hear that. It's also on the exterior, and you're going to get more of that power. So this has the AMG driver's pack. So you put it into Sport Plus. That's when you get all of the sound and all the stiffness in the suspension and all that 761 horsepower. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.4 seconds. Yeah, this is one quick car. Do you need all that performance? Probably not. Would I just drop the AMG performance package? Probably. 658 horsepower and 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.8 seconds in the normal 53 AMG 4MATIC Plus is plenty enough. This sound here, I don't know, I'm kind of split on it. My friend rode with me the other day, who's just got, you know, ordered an EQC 400, so he likes Mercedes, so I took him for a ride, and he was like, he loved the sound. And I do like it because it has kind of some drama to it. And when you turn on and off this car, look at this. Oh yeah. So we can't go too quick because we are in a residential area. So you get at least get a taste of this, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of interesting. You know, it's not too serious. So I do like that. And also, what's interesting about this car is that it will actually rotate. So powering out of a corner. No, we're going to take a left here. Powering out of a corner is actually going to give you some. Yeah, not, oh, that car just almost stopped for that speed bump. But yeah, it's going to give you some rotation, which is kind of fun. But yeah, we're going to put this car back into comfort mode now. Because in comfort mode, it's a big, luxurious saloon, though it's not as soft as the normal EQS. So if you want that ultimate suppleness and plushness, that's the car for you. But I like my cars to be comfortable and soft, but I also like that body control as you get in this car. So I actually prefer this to the normal EQS. And also the steering is better, it's more weighted, it feels more natural, it's more progressive. And also just the controls, the brake pedal, the throttle, the harmony. I talk a lot about harmony between the controls, and this is spot on. This is spot on. It's really, really good. And also, you pull this paddle here, you have, oh no, we have a car behind us. So we're gonna go a little bit quicker here. And then you go off the throttle, and then it has really nice, strong recuperation or regen, but it will not come to a complete stop. So you get down to this speed, and it just, yeah, coasts or creeps. Now we're gonna go straight here. So yeah, why don't you give me one pedal, at least give me the option, Mercedes, to give me full one pedal driving. But overall, this is a really nice driving car, and I would get the AMG version just, you know, based on the way it drives compared to the normal 580, because it really is much better than that. And you also get that drama from this AMG sound. So yeah, pretty much a really good driving car, this 53 AMG 4MATIC Plus. At the end of the day, the EQS 53 AMG 4MATIC Plus is a very good car. It's an impressively good car, actually. It drives good, it's quiet, it's comfortable, you know, it's roomy and spacious. You have a lot of equipment, a lot of tech, but somehow it's not a desirable product. So let me explain why it's not, you know, an S-Class that is electric, because it's not as desirable as an S-Class at the end of the day, because the interior, though nice, isn't at an S-Class level. The S-Class sits just above this with materials and options and the way it looks. It just looks spectacular, that S-Class interior. This close, but not there. The S-Class is also more quiet and more comfortable in independent testing I've seen. And also, an S-Class is so much better looking on the exterior. So all in all, this is a good car, but it's just not as desirable as an S-Class. And you know, I can recommend this car if you're looking for a big, large, luxurious car, spending this money. At this point in time, before we tested the new BMW i7, there isn't an alternative. But to me, I would not spend my own money on this car. And I think that says a lot, because I was looking to buy an EQS 53 AMG, but I couldn't get over the exterior styling. It just doesn't look good in my opinion. And if I want to spend this much money on a car, it's not a logical choice, because you can get space, you can get range, you can get tech for far less money than you can with this car. An AMG product is supposed to be desirable. A big Mercedes is supposed to be desirable. I lust after, you know, an S-Class. I really want an old S-Class, a W126 or maybe a W108. I really love these big Mercedes. So I'm not maybe the target group, maybe I'm too young, maybe I'm not conservative enough, but until this product gets, you know, a revamp on the exterior and an improvement on the interior, this just doesn't cut it for me. I'm sorry, but it is a very good car. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys today, and goodbye.